Hello programmers, this is coding Castor, where beginner is the first step to master. Before we start coding, we are going to need a platform where to code on, and the last thing we need is to code on Notepad and start fidgeting with tabs and spaces. Today we'll be installing Visual Studio 2019 Community, which, first and foremost, best of all, it's free. Who doesn't like free things? Visual Studio 2019 will be our IDE of choice. In case you don't know what IDE means Integrated Development Environment. Let's separate that a little bit, and integrated meaning that we can code everything in it. It's everything piled up inside one single program. Development meaning that we'll be developing code in it, which makes plenty of sense. And it's an environment. Although this one might not be very clear right now, I know this will get more of a meaning once we get into it, so don't worry about that one specifically. We'll be working on Windows 10. If you are a Mac or Linux user, I will try my best to provide alternatives if necessary once possible. Also, I will be setting up our IDE to be C++ focused, but you will see more alternatives later in the video, so don't worry about that. Also, this video will be timestamped, so feel free to browse in the bar below if you need to skip or rewind some steps. Alright, so first and foremost, we have to download the Visual Studio 2019 Community. Now, here I have the page in which we will be downloading the software. I will be leaving the link down below in the description, so that way you can access it. Now, as again, we'll be downloading the community version. As I said in the beginning, I don't have a specific tutorial for Linux or Mac users. I know it's a little bit more complicated, but I will be trying my best to get that to you guys. So let's just download the community version, which will be right here. You just click the free download, and the download should start quite automatically. Let's see if that happens, and right there we have the download. So I will see you guys on the other side. All you have to do is click the installer, or if it's in your, depending on which folder you downloaded to, you just gotta find it and you open it, and we'll be keeping up there. Now, after downloading the installer and actually opening it, you will get a prompt in which you will have to say yes, and it will lead you to this window right here, which we won't really give a huge look into. This is a pretty quick self-explanatory installation if you have done installations for different programs in your computer before. So I will just go ahead and click continue, and it will do most of its job. I think for me it's actually going to be pretty quickly, because since I did have the program beforehand, I think most of the things that you will be installing on mine is a little bit more quicker. Yours might take a little bit more longer, so just in case, you should keep that in mind. As I said before in the beginning, we will be doing this channel per se. We'll be working on C++ focused programs, so we won't be seeing much of other things such as Python or even any other languages, C#, C, Java, and all that type of stuff. We won't be seeing that specifically, but I know that Visual Studio has a big variety on all the different languages that you can use. But in this case here, you have a pretty wide selection on which types of programs you will be working on. It's even divided into categories depending on what type of programs you are planning to do, which in the case for us, you can openly use whichever you desire, although for our sake and for the ones we will be using the desktop development with C++. I also would sometimes recommend Universal Windows Platform Development, but for in case of what we're doing, we don't really need that. That's usually more for Windows-based applications, so we won't be really using that. So I usually think that this one is the most generalized one that we will be using. I don't think that we'll be using any of the other packages that are available. And also, if you are installing more of these, the more total space you will need, so the more longer it will actually take to download all of the actual workloads, or in this case, depending on what is you're installing. There's also the individual components that you can do if you're doing one by one separately. There's language packs. I'm not even giving too much thought into this. This is where you'll be installing all that type of stuff. So in this case, this is what we'll be doing. We already know where it's going. So now in this case, we'll just click install, which is what we will be working on. Now this process actually takes a very, very long time, so I would recommend giving your computer, depending on how fast your internet speed is, you should give it some time into account and just leave it there while it's working on it, and I will see you guys back when all the download is done. Alright, so that took me about a whopping approximately 15 minutes. Make sure to tell me in the comments how much time that took y'all. I don't know how fast my internet is. I think that took me about 15 minutes. I already had this installed. I don't know if that helped. But make sure to tell me. I would really like to know. So after doing that whole installing phase, now we will be restarting our computer just to completely set up Visual Studio 2019. So I will see you all on the other side. Okay, programmers, we have successfully restarted our computer. So now that Visual Studio 2019 is installed, let's go ahead and look for it wherever we have installed it, and let's prop it open, see what happens. We have now opened it. Okay, we'll be prompted into a sign in page. I would completely recommend that you do. Let's say if you are in a college university that you will be working these projects on, I would recommend that you use specifically the one that is provided to you by the university if it's linked completely to Microsoft or that sort of situation. I don't know how common that is. For me, that is the case, so I will be doing that. Just make sure to use an email that completely represents you. Don't choose an email that you're pretty much sure you're going to be looking to change in a couple of years. So make sure that you use one that you currently use and that you have an outlook for it. So I would recommend that you do that. So let's just go ahead and just sign in. If you don't, then I would recommend that you create one and make sure that you really hold on to it. Keeping all the settings and keeping everything in one place is very good, especially if you'll be using this for a long term. So I will be using my account. I will be blurring this out right now. You won't be seeing my account, but I would recommend that you go through the process. And once again, I will see you all on the other side. Okay, so we have successfully logged in, and we are perhaps inside of the actual Visual 2019 software. I usually had this set up. I had a little bit of an issue. My projects popped in right there. I will be hiding that. I want you all to know what I'm working on, secret projects. This is pretty much where you get almost all of everything. You have completely installed Visual Studio 2019. You have pretty much set yourself up for everything. I will add here a bonus section now that we have completely installed it. So let's try to create, a new project here. And I will show you guys to change the theme because I personally do not like the light format. I really like the dark theme. So it's pretty much what I'll be working on. So usually the projects that we're doing just an empty project. So we'll be using that for now. And let's just call this whatever. Let's just call this tutorial underscore project. Let's call it that. And usually we place the solution and the problem in the same directory. Here you can pick the location. We'll be blurring that out as well. And let's just create the project. Okay, so here we have everything. This does, once again, is very awkward. I'm not a fan of the format. This is a new format for me, so I will be playing with this around. Let's see what we can do here real quick. Let's do the settings that I personally use. In this case, let's go over here to File. Not File specifically. We'll be going to Extensions. Let's go to Manage Extensions here. And there is one that I personally use a lot that you might want to search. It's called Productivity Tools. It's right here. This will help you, at least for me, it helps a lot for moving code to other programs, and it does a really nice looking paste to it. I will need to restart for it, but that's not something that I'm looking to do right now. Next thing we'll be looking to do is changing the theme, which is very important. What you want to do to change the theme is you want to go to Tools, you want to go to Options, and here we can change the theme. Depends on what you want to do. I will be doing dark, if you don't mind me. That is the way that I want to look at it. So yes, this is the regular one that I use. So also one thing that I really like to do is invert the tabs, and this page right here, I like to have it on the right side. Is a little bit more comfortable. So let's see how we can do that. So the way that you want to do it is for you to move it. It's very simple. You can move it wherever you want. This is what we'll be seeing, like the different files that we'll be having open. So what I like to do is I just drag it and drop it where I want it. In this case, I use it on the right. So I just drop it right there. So we have everything organized. One thing you also might want to have open is the Solution Explorer, where we'll be adding all those types of things. So if you really need to see that, just click the Solution Explorer and it will prop up, just in case it looked different in a second ago, just because I changed it real quick. So you'll have the Solution Explorer where we'll be adding our source files, which is where we'll be working on codes and stuff like that on our IDE. So I will just be creating something simple. I know that probably this is not something that you all will understand, but this is just something to show you guys that, you know, how the IDE works specifically. So I've just created a file that's called test.cpp, and that's a C++ file. We'll be adding our code. I won't be talking about specifically all the types that we'll be working on here, but this is just something to make sure to show you all that it works. You can follow along with me. This is not something that I'm going to prop over. So this is just a simple program that will print out this is a test, and that's pretty much the main purpose of this program. So let's just run it. You can do Control F5 on Windows so you can run this project. This is once again something simple just to test that the IDE is working properly. So here we go. We're just going to test it real quick, see what happens. And there it's running, and it says this is a test. So it just prints it out in the console. So that's just pretty much just something simple to show you all that the IDE is in perfect condition after we've worked around all these types of things. We'll be working on more codes and looking to more sessions, and we'll be talking about directly what I just did right now. But specifically, this is what we have so far. You've set up completely Visual Studio 2019 community. So congratulations. This is your first step. This is a great step to start looking over what you can do in this program, so that way you can actually create programs. Program to create programs. Interesting. So that's about everything that we'll be learning today. I look forward to having you on the different videos that we'll have set up. I'll be glad to see you all in the future in the next videos. And as always, God is the master programmer.